Hey, what's up? Silas here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about offense. People who take offense to things in two different ways. One is just the fact that the very, very annoying saying of you have offended a billion people, or you have offended X number of people, this large group of people, when somebody hears somebody say one thing and then they just, it really, really, really annoys me. And the other thing is just this shirt that I created. It's on the merchandise store. Link's going to be below to that. I'm going to have that shirt actually shown at the end of this video, or maybe during this video, I'm not quite sure yet. But it's this: offense is no defense, just meaning that saying you're offended is not a defense for everything. In fact, in many cases, if somebody says they're offended, that is almost a sign that they have no defense to what they're actually objecting to. I mean, I suggest you need to make an actual objection, put some evidence forward to why you're offended, to why the thing that the person has said is wrong, and you'll make the world a better place. Not just your own world, not just your own reality tunnel, because you'll be able to actually defend and understand how you think and how you approach things, or you'll be able to work your way through why that person said that and prove to them that they're wrong to be doing that. Or you might be able to work your way through something that normally offends you, and then you'll realize, hey, maybe that's not that offensive, or maybe that doesn't really speak to me. And then the next time somebody gets offended, you can also help them and be like, hey, maybe that person's not really talking about you, or maybe that person is talking about something that's actually true, and then you can actually go out and actually deal with that thing and stop that thing, and then that person will be wrong for saying what they're saying. So, back to the original saying of you have offended a billion people. This often happens when you're talking about like somebody's religion or something like that. You say, okay, someone in this religion has done this and this is not good. And then it's like, oh, you have offended a billion people. Like, first of all, no. It's kind of the whole thing where someone is saying, look, because that one person who shares this characteristic or thing with a billion other people, you're trying to say that because that person did that, a billion other people are that way, and that's wrong. Yet you, by saying you've offended a billion people, are also saying because you've talked about this one person, this fraction in this group, that fraction in that group is also as offended. Let's say I'm offended because I happen to share some kind of thing with other people. Let's say I'm a Negro. Somebody says something about Negroes, and then I'm offended by it, and I say, you've offended, how many Negroes are there in the world? I don't know. A billion point five? I'd say, okay, you've offended a billion point five Negroes. No. First of all, we're not all the same. We just happen to share this. We happen to be black. I happen to be a Negro. It's not something that's identifying or defining who I am as a person so much. So when you say that situation, you're kind of giving away the whole thing. You're kind of not giving away the whole thing. It's the no defensing. There's no defense there because you're saying, don't apply something that happens to a fraction of people to the entire group, yet I'm going to apply the offense that has happened to the fraction of persons to the entire group. And it goes further to just like the whole, there's also another false equivalency that goes into this situation. Like, okay, look, for example, somebody will say something like, okay, let's say you talk about skin color and then you talk about religion. So if you take this to physical violence situation, this is the example I used, I think, when I wrote this in an article, in a blog post some time back. It was this, you take like hockey players, and then if I'm watching a hockey game and then I say, okay, that's really not cool how in hockey they have these people who go on, these goons that go on and just skate around and they go and initiate a fight with somebody and there's rules. So I say like, I really don't like about the sport of hockey. I don't like that about the sport of hockey. I don't like this fighting aspect. I think they should change it. It's not a positive thing about hockey. Then somebody comes in and says, hey, you know what? Most hockey players don't fight. Look at them. Most of the hockey players are just peaceful. They're not doing anything. So why are you disparaging hockey players? You're insulting the game of hockey. I'm like, no, you're correct. Most hockey players don't fight. But I am also completely correct. There is something in hockey that has rules, that has a situation to say, hey, hockey players are allowed to fight. And that's in hockey in and of itself. So that's a different issue. Now, if you're talking about hockey players and I say something about people with green eyes, for example, or let's say talk about chess players, and then you saying like, okay, if I say something about people with green eyes, how come a lot of people with green eyes seem to do X, Y, Z? And then you say, oh, that's like when you talk about how come chess players do X, Y, Z. No, chess players, hockey players are different from Negroes and people with green eyes. You can stop being a chess player. You choose to be a chess player. you can stop playing hockey. You choose to be a hockey player. You don't choose to be a Negro. You're just born that way. You just have green eyes. You just have that way. So those are two things that I think need to go through. Often when the people talk about this kind of you've offended X number of people, they don't make a differentiation between things that are innate, things that you can't choose, and things that people choose. And then it also goes to the point where they're accusing you of making some kind of assumption from a small group of people, from a fraction of people, and applying that to the entire group. Yet that's what they're doing by saying, me, I'm offended, so you have offended that entire group. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. I'm going to be having the shirt on the screen right now. Please go down to the merchandise store and purchase the shirt. This is the script version of it. I'm going to have also some text versions of it. I was also kind of thinking of going with one where it's your offense is not a defense, but I just went with the shorter one. I don't know if you guys want that other longer one, I can put that up because that's more like combative, because like, okay, you're the person who's not normally offended, then you're talking to the people who are offended in that kind of situation. But I thought this one was just the shirt in general, just offense is no defense. And a good friend of mine, Sapsan, she pointed out that when she's a martial artist, and she pointed out that in martial arts, it's almost the opposite of that situation where defense is a good offense, or defense is offense, where you know how to defend yourself. And that works in multiple ways. And I have really great friends who just vibe mentally, and they really vibe well mentally with this particular friend. But I posted this up, and yeah, I was thinking like, yes, that opposite is also there. So I may also put that defense is, but that's a more common saying, that a defense is a good offense. But in that situation, if you have a defense, you don't need to be offended. Because if somebody says something about you or another or other people, and you have a way to defend yourself from what that person has said, there's no reason to be offended, because you just defend yourself. So if you have a defense, you don't need offense. So I think that'll be a shirt. If you have defense, you don't need offense. I don't know. I'll work on that.